What's up, YouTube? This is Fragments of Memory, aka your friendly neighborhood armchair philosopher. I got a question. Why is it socially acceptable for a woman to strike a man, but not the other way around? That's just something that's been plaguing me, bothering me for a minute now. It was acceptable for Shadia Lewis in Ohio to spit on and shove a bus driver, but it was unacceptable for the bus driver to uppercut her for attacking him. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes. I take notes because sometimes my thoughts go all over the place. It was acceptable for the woman in the Georgia Mall, if you've ever seen this video, you could probably look it up on YouTube, to verbally and physically assault the security guard, but it was unacceptable for him to tase her. It was acceptable for the woman at the pizza parlor in Akron, Ohio, to cut in front of the line, spit at the manager, yell and slap another customer, and this customer was upset at being cut in front of the line by her, while it was unacceptable for him to raise up on her. It was acceptable for her to sick her 6'4" D-boy boyfriend on this man. And I bet dollars to donuts that while the boyfriend got 4 years for beating the crap out of this guy who was upset at being jumped in front of and slapped, because he said something to someone on his cell phone, she slapped him. For that, nothing happened to the woman. Now, we tell men to control themselves often. I've been told this as a young man, I'm sure you have. Their eyes, their hands, their appetites, and their tempers. Why isn't this told often to women in light of the events that I just shared? When law enforcement see a couple in an argument or a conflict, the man is the one who has the burden of proof laid on his shoulders. And I understand that some of that may come from certain gender roles, i.e. the man is supposed to be physically stronger than the woman, and if a man and a woman are getting into an argument, usually the man is perceived as the aggressor. Therefore, the burden of proof is on him to prove, no, I wasn't the aggressor. This lady that you see screaming before me was the aggressor. Men and boys are in this very tight paradox. If I get hit by a woman, my manhood is attacked. If I beat a woman, I'm labeled a monster. So is it a question of the benefit of doubt for me, but not for thee, as to borrow from one Obsidian media network? Where, it's like, it's cool for you, but it ain't cool for me. And I think that it leads to my question of, can there truly be equality? But is there really equality between the sexes? Do we really believe in equality between the sexes? Or do we just believe men forever must adhere to 1950s, 1940s sensibilities while women are allowed to be 21st century women? So does the benefit of doubt not exist for me simply because I'm a guy and I'm a man and I can take it? Me personally, I don't think a man should put his hands on a woman. I don't think a woman should put her hands on a man. I'm of the event that you keep your hands to yourself. If it gets to the point where things are getting that heated, where you two have to go in on each other, walk away. Both men and women need to walk away in the opposite directions, take a few deep breaths, cool off for a minute, then you can come back and try to negotiate. But until then, don't sit there yelling and screaming and escalating. Now, they say that women, it is said that women are the more emotional, or they are more in tune with the emotional aspects of themselves. But does this excuse her in acts of violence she may commit? Or should she get the same amount of punishment, the same amount of reprimand, or the same amount of social stigma that a man gets if he were to physically attack a woman? And in some cases, those attacks are retaliatory in nature, if that's a word. They're not initiatory. They're retaliatory, i.e. the man didn't initiate the attack. He's merely retaliating. So I'm not one of those people that believes it's never right to hit a woman. But I don't advocate it. Because they say violence is the last refuge of the incompetent. Yeah, forgive me. I got a little sleep in my eyes. It is the early morning for me. So that's just something I want to pose to the YouTube crowd whoever cares to watch this video, whoever cares to comment or make a response video, that'd be appreciated, and let me know about it. Is it acceptable for one and not the other? And I don't mean from a social convention. Do you find it acceptable that it's okay that if a woman struck a man, it's okay, and if a man strikes a woman, you're aghast in horror that this happened? Let me know what you think. Do we truly believe in equality of the sexes? Because I remember there was a TV show I used to love back in the day. It was called Friday the 13th, the series. And even though it took its name from the Jason Voorhees movies, it had nothing to do with the Jason Voorhees character. But basically the premise is there was a man named Louis Andrade who made a pact with the devil to sell cursed antiques. So he was an antique dealer. And anyway, he sells all these cursed antiques. And what the antiques would do is it give the possessor of the antique item some sort of benefit, some sort of kickback. So that was the upside of the curse. The downside of the curse was you had to kill somebody in order to make the curse's magic work. And so the cursed antiques would deal with things like beauty, money, revenge, whatever the case might be. But the curse had to, in order for the curse to do something helpful, the item had to be used to kill someone too. Because it was almost like the cursed item requires some type of blood sacrifice in order for a human sacrifice in order for its power to work. So I liken that to the equality argument. The equality argument is there's an upside to equality and there's a downside, if you want to call it a downside. Like, yes, I have my rights, but I have my responsibilities too. And I think that's sort of what's in nature. You know, the dualities of things, where yes, there's this wonderful side, but then there's this other side that's not so wonderful. So that's just something I want to point out. So is it, in your mind, acceptable for a woman to strike a man because of emotional stress or trauma? And is it okay for a man to do so? Peace.